Hello everybody and welcome back to my studio for Free Class Week. I'm so happy you're here and we're going to start another tile this week. Very gentle tangling, nice and easy. Just a reminder, I'm going at my own pace to keep the video a little bit shorter, but I encourage you to just slow down and enjoy every single one of our pen strokes. I love our tile that we're going to do today. It's nice and relaxing, nice, lots of repetition. Really pretty when we're done, but it's all about that gratitude and breath. So let's go ahead and start with that before we grab our pens and get into it. Just taking a couple nice, good, deep breaths. As I've said before, this moment can be whatever you would like it to be. It could be a formal meditation. It could be a single deep breath. This is our threshold and our ritual that is just allowing us to walk into our creative moment and into our mindful moment. The affirmation for this tile: mistakes bring me knowledge. Have a moment of gratitude. Take as long as you'd like and come back when you're ready to tangle. There's our tile from my affirmation deck, randomly pulled before every class. All right, so I'm going to grab a piece of paper and just practice our tile, or tangle today. I'm just going to grab a pen to show you this. It's a very simple tangle. We probably don't even need to practice it, but I'll take a moment to do it anyway. The tangle is called Lolo, and it is by Senya Su. I think I say that right. I apologize if I butchered the pronunciation. So the tangle is Lolo. This one starts with a stem, just a simple stem. It can be curvy, it could be a C shape, it could be straight, whatever you want it to be. And we're going to start on one side and do a small petal shape, or half of a heart, however you want to think about it. And then I'm going to go to the other side and shift that side up a little bit. And I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to shift it up. Now, the way I do it, I don't necessarily pay attention to things ending evenly. Like this one ended a little bit lower. You can have them meet at the point if you want to be focused on that, or you can just let it land wherever it needs to land. Okay, you can also do this from the top, just to give you that vision. If you want to go this way, and then from that point go down. Just looking at her, I think that is how she did it. I think she. Okay, so when you work top down, you can just keep this in one nice pen stroke, which I do like as opposed to bottom up. To be honest, I have never done it that way. It just came to me while I was recording, so it's a good tip. Okay, so either way you get there is perfectly fine. Doesn't matter. You can start on the right or the left. Again, doesn't matter. And then what we're going to do is aura each one of those shapes. And of course, these auras can be playtime. What if they're wider? What if they're skinnier? And that is essentially the tangle. So you could keep auraing, you can add things to the middle, anything you want it to be, right? You can add all kinds of flair and swirls and whatever, but that is the basis of Lolo. So we're going to go to our tile. Here's our tile. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have these stems wrap around an orb. So somewhere in the lower left, I'm not putting it in the center. I don't really want this to be centered. I kind of want it to be off in this corner-ish somewhere. So I'm going to put a nice big orb. And then I'm going to have the stems of Lolo come off of that. So I'm going to do a takeoff, meaning I'm starting on the line a little further back than how I want to leave the line. And I'm going to go in this direction. And then I'm going to turn the tile. I'm going to leave a lot of room and go in this direction. And however many you get is fine. You don't have to get the same number of tendrils, but notice how I'm doing that line and I'm turning my tile. The more you can get your hand into a position that is a repetitive pen stroke, the gentler your line is going to be, the easier it's going to be. So I just kept my hand kind of in the same position and I did that same S stroke, turning my tile all the way around. And from here, we're going to do Lolo, the first basic steps of Lolo in each stem. So I'll do it the way they did it. I'll start at the top this time. And work my way down. Maybe as I get towards the bottom, maybe I'll make the shapes a little bit tinier. And even though I'm working from the top down, I'm still not very particular about them ending and starting in the same point. I'm doing it because it's a natural flow of my pen, but at the bottom, I'm still lifting my pen and letting the spacing happen naturally. So I went all the way around with my first layer. Pause and come back if you're still working on that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next step. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and add that next step, which is that aura. So one tip with this, I'm kind of aiming to end at the same spot. You can make this aura travel down and connect the sections. In other words, what I mean by that is when you aura, you can go point, aura, and come down at the same point. Or you can have the aura travel, so it leaves above and it ends below. So that's what I mean. You could do tethered, point to point, or you can have them travel. I tend to do tethered at the top, and I don't mind if the bottom travels a little bit. Again, I kind of let my hand just flow naturally wherever it lands. But I do tend to curve that bottom in towards that point, but not exactly. So that's my first layer, and that's the basic Lolo that I have right there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to start to add flair to this and extra lines and playtime and things like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is inside that first shape that I did, I'm going to add a little petal shape and color it in. See how I added that dark shape? Now, if you don't have that space, if your first petal is really tiny, just add another aura and color in the first petal. Okay, however you get to this area, to this drama space. So don't worry if yours is tinier than mine. I'm drawing a little larger than what I normally do just for visibility for everybody. I ended up keeping my pen in my hand. Normally I would switch to an 03. I forgot to change my pen, so I'm just going to stay with it. But look how pretty that is with just a little bit of drama added into that center. if your pen lines are getting really messy around that orb, you can make just executive decisions in the moment, petal by petal. Which one is above? Maybe you don't take your little petals all the way down. If it gets a little too messy in there, you just kind of do what you can. Draw behind where you can. Okay, so that's what we have going on so far. Okay, so I'm going to do one more step to this, and you can play with variations and what if questions on this so much. Beautiful, simple tangle, but it has so much potential. The next thing I'm going to do is you just kind of make up your own rule. Like, what pen stroke do I want to do? And then I'm just going to go with it and see where it goes. And the rule that I decided was to add a fescue. And it goes something like this. I'm going to show you right here, just so that you can see. Let me focus that a little better. And what I'm going to do is start at the bottom of my little pod. I'm going to come up an aura, and then I'm going to do a fescue somewhere in there. Now for this one, I connected with the petal above. If I work top down, this would connect to the fescue shape, which is all fine. Meaning right now my next fescue would go from here. It goes off the page and kind of wraps in there. Okay, let me show you right here. I take off here, and then this side the fescue goes this way. Not every fescue shape, and this, for those who don't know this tangle, fescue, it is one of my basic tangle, my basic go-to tangles. It's just a stem with a teardrop that is colored in. That's a fescue, and you can do them curvy. You can have them branch off of things. I love it. It's the wispiness that I always crave at the end of my tile. And that is a headquarters tangle. So I'm just coming up to the bottom of these and I'm putting them in. That one ran off the page. Maybe I'll do a little hint of it right there. I'm just starting at the bottom, coming up around and curving in a fescue. Start at the bottom, coming up around and curving in a fescue. I'm trying to anchor it to something, but if you don't do that, that's fine. And if you don't want to do the fescue, just keep adding auras until you get a little thicker of a stem happening. And I was saying earlier, if it gets very messy down here, this is what I'm talking about. So I have this petal right here that I need to bring my fescue around. Well, there's a lot going on right there. I'm just going to come here, do a fake of a line, which really didn't add much, and then pretend that the fescue comes this way. I'm going to kind of skip any extra lines in there just because it's going to get so messy. And by doing that, I also have a problem now to do this fescue. So let me just kind of fake it and go here. So see right there, I just faked it. This fescue's going this way, this fescue's going this way. They kind of meet there and, you know, that's the way it ended up. No big deal. But I do like working these from the top down. And you can make these go wide, you can keep them skinny. When I make a rule like this, I try to just get into that rhythm of my hand. Again, making the same motion in repetition. Okay, so that's what we have. And like I said, you can play with this so many different ways. We're going to add one more thing to this before we shade. And we have these little connection points where the fescues come around. It is a perfect spot for an orb. So I'm going to make these good size because we're going to turn these into a quick gem. Okay. Super, super, super pretty. All right. So I'm going to switch to my pencil. Right now it's a good time for a deep breath. I haven't reminded everybody about that yet. So it's good time for a deep breath. And we're going to shade this we're going to do two things. We're going to do shading down the stem of each of the Lolo, and then we're going to take every one of our orbs and do a very quick gem. But let's do the stems first. I'm going to come right down the center so that when I blend that, I'm blending right down the center, left and right. You can take your time and do the right side, the left side, the right side. I usually just come right down the center. You have to be careful on this because you do have colored in areas, and if you blend this too hard, you're going to pick up that dark graphite and rub it, and your paper might start pilling depending on the type of paper you have. So just keep that as heads up, nothing to be too concerned about, but just notice if you're rubbing too hard. Yes, you're putting graphite over that black area. You may, if that bothers you, you may want to refine those colored in areas or approach your shading a little bit differently than me going right down the center. So just a little bit in the center went a long way. So the next thing we're going to do on this is the big gem. I'm just taking a little bit of graphite out of there so it doesn't throw off your eye. And to do this gem, I am going to add into the mix a number 10 jelly roll and possibly a white chalk pencil. Sometimes I use that, sometimes I don't. I don't know that I'll use it today. We'll see. And we're going to do a very, very, very quick gem. I kiddingly call it a Mary Rose quick gem. And it doesn't look as good close up, but I want you to see what I'm doing. So I have my pencil in my hand. I'm going to make this large orb a quick gem, and then you do the same thing to all the little orbs. I am right-handed. My pencil's relatively horizontal, and the point is looking at 10 o'clock. If you're thinking about this on the hands of a clock, it's about 11 o'clock, actually, not 10. Somewhere in here, okay, between 10 and 11. If you're lefty, you're going this way, probably, and looking at 1 and 2 o'clock. But I'm right-handed, I'm going this way. I'm starting my pencil right on that pen line. I'm right up on that pen line, and I'm pressing very dark, and I'm doing C shapes. And as I'm doing C shapes, I'm pulling towards me, and about a quarter of the way down, now I do medium pressure, not hard pressure, medium pressure. Back and forth, C shape, and right about there, now I'm going to do very light pressure, C shape, light pressure, and I'm leaving that little spot empty. So heavy pressure, medium pressure, light pressure, leave that bottom area. So there's two things you can do at this point. You can take a white chalk pencil, start in that white area and go up. So this is a regular General's white chalk pencil. You can start right on the paper and then move into the graphite with little swirls. That's what I did on the right. Or you could take your regular tortillon and blend the graphite. Okay, you can do either way. The key is you want this upper part to stay dark, but you don't want to see a line and a line and a line from heavy pressure to medium pressure to dark to light pressure. You just want it to flow. And then once you do that, you take your white gel pen with a little sparkle at the top. If you think your bottom space needs to be brighter, you can do white chalk pencil right down there. And then when you pull off, you have a cute little gem. Super quick. In fact, right now I still see a line of the white chalk pencil into my graphite. I'm going to take my tortillon and just blend away that line so that it goes away. Okay, I also see a line up here. So every now and then, if you see a line, just blend it out. There you go, much better. Super quick way to do a gem. You could do this same process with a colored pencil instead of graphite. All different ways, but I like it because it's just quick and gives me that little cute gem with very little effort. So every one of these orbs, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do those C shapes, and you can see how fast these are going to go. In fact, 2 or 3 swipes on some of them. So your heavy pressure and then light pressure. You don't even get to do the medium pressure because they're just too small. And then instead of the white chalk pencil, for me, I'm just going to blend a little bit at the bottom with my tortillon. All you're really looking to do is have that little glimmer of white at the bottom right. And then come in and do a little dot of your gel pen. And there you go. So sometimes when I do these gems, if I'm going too fast or sometimes I just get carried away, sometimes I will come back in with a thin pen. This is my 03, and I will just redefine the outside of that orb because sometimes it gets muted if graphite goes over it, and it just kind of cleans up that edge just a little bit. Depends on how much you want to be detailed in this tangling session. And you can go ahead and put your chop and sign. Just going to put the year on this. Yeah, I'll put the month too. All right, there we go. Take a good deep breath and shake out those hands. Bit of repetitious tangling today. Sit up nice and tall. Take in a couple good deep breaths. right. Thank you so much for being with me today. I will see you tomorrow. We'll keep moving on with Free Class Week. Thanks for being here. Bye.